Poverty and economic disparity that exist in our region by zip code and color have had a devastating impact on the St. Louis region. These conditions have damaged countless lives of fellow St. Louisans over generations, placed large portions of our region into a perpetual state of decline, and create a host of negative outcomes, from childhood trauma to failing schools, severe health disparities, and violence. How do we change this? How do we help our fellow citizens move into the economic mainstream and transform our underserved communities to create a stronger, more equitable, and prosperous St. Louis for all? Too often, when addressing complex social issues, we tend to look for simple answers, but simple answers to complex problems rarely exist. Our underserved communities didn't fall into a state of decline overnight. They are the result of decades of unfair policies, systemic racism, segregation, and other factors. In order to create real change, we have to address the issues of both poverty and the inequity of opportunity in these communities. To do this effectively, we have to remember that life is not simple, it's complex. Families and communities have many needs that must be met in order to thrive. Families need a living wage, housing that's affordable, access to health care, successful schools, transportation, and more. Thriving communities need an adequate supply of housing that people can afford, economic development to provide jobs and access to essential goods and services, sound infrastructure from sewers to roads and parks, effective local government and essential services, and thriving families. What's important to understand is none of these needs exist on their own. They are all interrelated. For example, if we just build more housing, parents working multiple minimum wage jobs will still struggle to earn a living wage to afford utilities, transportation, clothing, and food. Parents can work to increase their employment skills, but that's difficult if they can't afford childcare. Even with increased funding to schools, how can teachers and administration improve student performance if children's most basic needs outside the school are not being met? Even if more families do become successful, but the needs of the greater community are not addressed, families will move elsewhere, leaving the community itself unchanged. This interconnectivity is why so many single-focus efforts fail to produce meaningful results. It's not enough to focus on just one piece of the puzzle. All of these areas must be addressed because they are all interrelated and interdependent. This is why so many national thought leaders agree that creating real change requires a comprehensive model that addresses the needs of families and communities across multiple areas. If that sounds daunting, consider this. In 2018, federal and local governments spent nearly $1 trillion on poverty reduction programs. This doesn't even include the billions of dollars that Americans spend on philanthropy in the U.S. each year. With all this spending, why haven't we seen better results? Clearly, we need a new approach. Our comprehensive, holistic model was built on the understanding that strengthening families and transforming communities isn't simple, it's complex. Over the years, we have created the infrastructure of staff, partners, programs, and relationships that are essential to fulfill our comprehensive model to create real change and a stronger and more prosperous St. Louis region once and for all.